I'm Donald Reid. I'm an environmental lawyer. I work mainly for myself now, actually from home in Edinburgh in Scotland. Apart from lecturing at one of the universities, I'm doing research into one or two developing areas of environmental law, and particularly this Earth Jurisprudence initiative. It will largely be a question of proceeding along different avenues, trying to get various aspects of the theory of Earth jurisprudence accepted in our existing laws. Now, there are several ways that can be done. One is to try and take lessons from the wisdom of indigenous peoples, one way or another. Another is to look further at the whole question of land and its recognition by modern Western law as a question of property rights and things, and that perhaps should not be the case, that there should be more involvement of the community in its land, that we belong to the land rather than the land belongs to us. And otherwise, I think it's just a question of trying to get gaps, as I say, in existing laws. There's one interesting example I could give of that, and that is that in a recent planning permission inquiry in Scotland, which was all to do with whether a large aggregates company was going to have the right to virtually demolish a whole mountain to extract aggregate. One of the principal objectors arranged for the chief of a North American Indian tribe to come across to Scotland and give evidence before the inquiry. Grand Chief Eagle of the Mackie Macs, I think some clan name like that, did come over and made a very impassioned speech on behalf of the environment and drew attention to the fact that the desecration of this particular mountain in Scotland was equally seen by his people as an unacceptable incursion into the environment. And the committee accepted his evidence as part of their whole bank of evidence that they were considering in order to make up a decision, their minds as to whether to grant permission or not. And in fact, they refused the permission. And so to that extent it was a successful use of indigenous learning and wisdom in a modern surroundings sort of thing. The other example is that we've recently passed a law giving communities the right to purchase the land that they've farmed, for example, where they don't actually own it, but they've tenanted it, from the landowner on the occasion that it is next for sale. So if a landowner decides he wants to sell his 20,000 hectares or whatever it is of land, then the local community have a right to step in and buy it at a negotiated price, but in preference to any other private bidder, so that they can recover their own land. And I think that is an important example of Earth jurisprudence in effect as well. I think at this stage, when it's still relatively new and those of us involved in it are still trying to ascertain where its boundaries lie and that sort of thing, it'll be mainly by just widening the discussion, trying to get lawyers who, first of all, I would say lawyers who are definitely show an interest in it, to sit down and talk about it, and then get to the situation where it could be introduced as a topic, for example, in legal conferences on the environment, where it might have a slot, where one would be presenting it to perhaps those who might be more cynical about it. But sooner or later that's got to be done, because if it's going to be accepted, we've got to accept that there's going to be a lot of probably criticism of it to begin with. So I think just by writing articles about it and promoting books and that sort of thing, it's the best way forward at the moment.